So the question here for us, first thing would be to think about why we're in this situation. What has changed suddenly, or what has happened suddenly that is leading us to think and question about how we change business itself? Because that's where the driver is for the MBA programs.
One of the things we've got to ask ourselves is, what is the purpose of business? Because in a sense, that will define what people who are educating future managers need to do, because the two need to dovetail into the old construct was that businesses exist for the purpose of maximizing shareholder value. That idea increasingly has come under threat. I think the essence of this really therefore leads to the question, do we need a new form of leadership? Are the old ways in which we looked at business leadership, are those models still relevant? The role of the leader really is to engage a group of people rather than take charge. I think the second thing which is becoming very important is that the leader, in a sense, is really a person who is more of a facilitator and a person who brings together important groups of people so that each person is able to contribute, or each group. I think it's very important to see whether it's possible to address in a classroom context what we need to think about in terms of leadership. And the second thing is, the idea that graduating MBAs have in terms of their understanding of what is their role in a company, their role in business. And I think too many people now are not looking at the business in a holistic manner. I think there's a mismatch even there between the expectations that employers have and what they would like to bring to the table. I don't think that many of the MBAs are actually well prepared to just become or want to become just specialists. What can business education do to sort of at least put together some kind of a template which says we need to be aware that these values really matter in running a business? You have a belief in a set of values which are intrinsic both to you as an individual and which can be mapped onto how a business functions. I think it's very important. I'm not very focused on the academic or the curriculum change, but I think the behavioral and the leadership issues associated with management education really make a difference.
The change is not sudden. In fact, it's been slow and insidious, and that's more dangerous, but it's accelerating. For example, everybody talks of digitization today. It's not something that's happened suddenly. It's been slow. I just want to start, though, with mentioning one sudden change. And that sudden change, to me, is caused by the pandemic. There is a sudden change. It is in the understanding of how health can be as critical a factor that affects business. But the one thing, therefore, that stands out in terms of change of context is the need for resilience, that your business and your organization must be resilient. Other changes which have been slow and which affect what we do, particularly in terms of what an MBA would have to deal with, is the big change in employment. More experts are required, more expertise is required, but very often it's for short periods. Organizations which need experts for a particular period and then may or may not need them later. Or they're trying out something new and they want to get some people on board to see, does this work or not, to pivot something. And they're not sure. If it works, they might hire them. If not, they want to get rid of them. And so this whole concept of what are now popularly called independent contractors or gigging is taking center stage. And that's a big change in terms of how you manage your staff, because you no longer have a full-time staff. The third change, which has again been slow, is a greater societal consciousness. The final big one I want to touch on, and I want to keep this brief, is the transition, again over a period of time, not slow, towards non-business management. Earlier, NGOs, so-called, as we call them in India, or voluntary organizations, they're truly voluntary organizations. Now these have become professional organizations. They've grown, they get large grants. This is certainly a trend where you're seeing more and more of these development organizations, if you like to call them that, or impact organizations, which are non-commercial, non-business, but need equally to be managed and need to make sure that they're efficient. So I just want to stop with these few key elements and touch on what they might imply. A great deal also has to be, what is the learning, what is the satisfaction level, what is the motivation, how do I get along with my colleagues? So it's that kind of thing. And finally, the external environment where there's a change, and businesses have got to exhibit that not only are they conscious of the traditional broader vision, you might say 3Ps, and so, environment in a general sense of the physical environment, but today also the social environment, and therefore the degree of compassion. And these are going to influence the MBA. I'll stop there and not talk about what it means for an MBA school, but I do think it calls for much change.
Them have the attitude that it ain't broke, so don't fix it. We have a crisis now. And I see a lot of people sort of falling over the edge. And it's because what we need is leadership, as has been brought out by you. We need a bit of resilience. We need adaptability. All these points have been made by you. But then what is this sort of leadership? And I'll be a little academic here, and I'll leave it to you, very experienced gentlemen, to sort of interpret it accordingly. I would say that it's called, and my favorite word is called uncommon leadership. And uncommon leadership is making sense before it becomes common sense. Very easy to say. But Shrikant Dattad, in his book, Rethinking the MBA, has done a very, very deep study. And he says, we are all very good with knowing the knowledge part. Colleges, some of them, and he's talking from the college point of view, are all right in doing. But the last part, the being, is absolutely missing. And this has all been brought out by you people in various ways, in terms of awareness, in terms of empathy. And I would put it in a simple word, it's doing the right thing. It's very difficult to explain that, but it brings in a lot of concepts. And I would again fall back on my academic background and quote somebody called Dr. Martin Newman, who's the author of Emotional Capitalists. He says that to be a successful leader, you need to exhibit a sense of mindfulness. And I will just read it out because I think it's important I get it right. It's a skill of paying close attention to what's happening in the present moment, in the mind, body, and external environment, non-judgmentally, and with an attitude of curiosity and openness.
Business and business schools are interlocked in a system. And the business schools said to the businesses that, it's a good business principle to give your customers what they want. If you keep asking us for certain types of people with certain skills and talents, we'll of course keep giving them to you, right? So don't blame us. You change what you want. And then we will, well, with a lag perhaps, deliver you what you want. So now they're passing the buck back. It started with the businesses saying the business schools are at fault, business schools saying you are at fault. So they're both interlocked into a system and they have to change together. So the question is, why is it that the system doesn't change? Why is it that business doesn't change? And therefore, why is it that business schools don't change in spite of the world pressing them to make change? So there is a deeper need to question here about why is it that businesses get away with, I'm saying businesses first before business schools, get away with being put on the pedestal all the time and not changing themselves fast enough. Because if they don't change themselves fast enough, business schools are not going to change fast enough. Now, coming back to the business schools, because we are talking about business schools, can business schools do something suo moto? Because they do care. There should be a responsible institution like educational institutions, which I would say, frankly, they are not. They're a vocational training institution. They produce people who have the skills to fit into someone's requirements immediately, hit the deck running, as it were. And they get paid a lot for it. So let's use strong words. I think business schools are producing mercenaries. They earn a lot of money to get things done efficiently. They don't care about the purpose for which their skills are being used. And if the business school's purpose is only to serve what is customer needs, which is primarily business, then that's okay. Let's not talk about them as being an agent of change or an educational institution helping young people to develop good ethical values. The business schools, that's not their dhanda, that is not their objective, and will not be unless they say whether my people who pass out of this school get more money or not. I am responsible for producing good leaders who care about the conditions of society. So I'm going to leave it with that as a question that to us all, that what parts of the system must change together so that we can get more responsible business education for more responsible businesses.
I would say take it even farther to thinking about a different kind of a certification board, where you're talking not just about the regular kind of MBA, but an Indian kind of MBA with ideas of
Yes.
social good and